This video is intended to describe a salt lamp diadem or crown named Divine Equilibrium. So, joining me today will be my whimsical stick figure chakra map for Visual Guide Reference Stimulation Q, which will come in handy for different notarizations, as well as this guy right here being an alligator clip clipped by design to go into the house ground outlet seen right there. So before I discuss the complexities of the vibrational engineering construct before me, I will discuss the primary focus intended design of its accomplishment, at least in intention, to be developed. So like I said, before I discuss the nuances of the different crystals, that would be the compound vibrational interest producing an emanation field by design, I'll discuss the functionality. So this clip right here, grounding into the wall, plays the most critical part of the intended design. That is also living its life in tandem with a Himalayan salt candle, most importantly with an incandescent bulb, which means an old school bulb actually generates heat to heat up the salt to produce an emanation of purification that could keep this entire composition at premium charge capacity cleared. Then, most importantly, take that frequency via auger clip and ground it into the outlets. So the big idea of that too is that if a house is up to code, up to modern electrical and engineering standards, all of these outlets are to be combined together, seen in the entire house, and also connected to a ground wire that is driven somewhere on the premises of oftentimes at least an 8-foot copper rod driven into the ground, developed to be successfully bypass the force of lightning if it strikes a house. So by utilizing this man-made electrical engineering mainframe that if you live in a house, you live inside of, all these outlets are tied together. So the big idea there is that the entirety of this emanation in this closed loop circuit under constant purification, aka just constant charge emanation running through the current of this entire device, grounds into the outlet, which thereby grounds this energy through all the outlets of the house, making a tangible containment field utilizing and leveraging the natural aspect of man-made electrical engineering of all the outlets to carry the current and widen the network into the entire space, and most importantly, take that frequency of the entire network and ground it into the earth for tangible magic. So that aspect is quite important as a preface of this entire design before I discuss the different components that make up this Divine Equilibrium stationary mount salt lamp crown diadem. I feel like that's pretty successful for a preface. So I'll go ahead and discuss the foundational band right here of the transmutation ratio, wrapping around the entirety of the construct like so in a perpetual circle, which plays a very, very critical intrinsic foundational role for the entire construct's successful intentional vibratory output. So the transmutation ratio in light tech is very, very well utilized for many purposes. So the hematite, being an iron-based mineral, makes for a great stimulation to ground all excess energy through the entire chakra column, through the root chakra, into the earth stars, into the earth meridian matrix reprocessing, which is also very effective for taking all high-frequency energies of stray radial nature and firmly grounding them through the root to, of course, bring the in-the-body experience, which is very helpful in practical magic endeavors, in conjunction with smoky quartz seen right here to be a fantastic subcapacitation agent of the energy of smoky quartz to do the same stimulation pathway as hematite to ground all excess energy through the root chakra into the earth stars and into the earth meridian matrix for processing. So the two together is what I consider to be the transmutation ratio for that purpose, to take all the excess energy and firmly ground it into the earth meridian matrix through the entire chakra column, through the earth stars, for perpetual recirculation of energy, which could be considered energetic dialysis or energetic transmutation of negativity into positivity by constantly giving the safe pathway of regrounding energy very rapidly. And in this rendition, in between the hematite seen right here is also clear quartz to work as a neutral energy amplifier of the entire closed loop circuit of this entire transmutation foundation scaffolding, which is obviously directly resting as the salt once heated up to purify the emanation in the circuit. And the clear quartz also makes for a nice neutral acceleration of the energy to carry further neutrally the current of this rather ambitious power pack seen right here. That would be obviously the heart of the construct. So this guy right here is actually set on brass, which is a very yang fire output polarity induction, while the base one right here would be set on silver for intake. So you can think of the polarities of intake, positive, negative, being well represented on both of these different wires, founded on the primary wire seen right there to be the framing to hold it together around the entirety perimeter, as the input-output simultaneously of the exact same ignition sequence as possible of the transmutation ratio as the foundation. I pray that made somewhat of coherent sense. So now it's time to tackle the large power pack right here after the foundation has been, of course, notarized pretty effectively. So naturally, this guy right here, with all its complexities, is well grounded into the primary wire. You can barely see it in this video, of this entire transmutation ratio to work as a foundation to make this magic real and to ground it into reality. High vibrations are great and all, but the prerogative of spirit tools, of course, is to bring it into the tangible range of the third dimensional wavelength we live in as humans, with our human bodies, obviously. So that's why this plays such a crucial foundational role to be the first thing discussed, as this also works to take all this excess energy yet to be mentioned and ground it firmly into the earth to bring tangibility and make it real. Alrighty, that was a mouthful. So for this guy, it's quite the complex guy to start off with, so I'll go ahead and discuss the blade band seen around it, which is developed to be a full light body stimulant, starting off with clear quartz to be the lovely ambient neutral acceleration of the rest of the blade band circuit contained right here to have a perpetual recirculated energetic momentum. Starting off with the ruby right here to be the quintessential root chakra stimulant of the mineral kingdom of great notoriety. Clear quartz in a large format to be, of course, a lovely neutral amplification into the orange ray of carnelian, a lovely famous sacrum stimulant. Into clear quartz into tiger's eye, a great solar plexus stimulant as well as a liner of the lower three chakras. Clear quartz into peridot, a fantastic third and fourth chakra stimulant, that of growth, basically the analog frequency of chlorophyll in the crystalline vibratory format. Clear quartz into emerald, the quintessential green ray heart chakra stone of abundance of great antiquity notoriety. Just like ruby, it's quite famous as a precious stone, which thereby means that a lot of faith in the morphic field of humanity's collective faith thought forms is that emerald is a very precious stone that literally everybody and their dog knows about, besides the dogs, of course, that's a joke. But the famous aspect of emerald stone of abundance is being well utilized in this vibratory circuit for that purpose of being the quintessential stone of abundance. Fun fact about basically notoriety of certain crystals having much faith imbued in them, such as aquamarine, which is a cousin to emerald, has a great amount of strength in the vibratory field, emanation resonance with humanity in general. That's enough Christianese. I'm going to go ahead and continue on, try to be coherent and streamlined. And part of my digressions. So clear quartz going into aquamarine, like mentioned, is a cousin to emerald of the beryl family, of being the impeccable water elemental fourth and fifth chakra stimulant of great notoriety as well. Clear quartz into lapis lazuli, an incredible window elemental fifth and sixth chakra stimulant of great notoriety of literally across the world. It's been quite deified in that capacity, as well as ancient Egyptian mystery schools, as well as being notarized to be a very powerful dharmic accelerant, as well as one's highest truth and past lives and highest psychic capacities. A third eye alignment is a sphere of lapis lazuli. Then clear quartz. Then into the lovely chaurite. Chaurite is an excellent purple ray, violet ray, crown chakra stimulant that also works as a very powerful grounder of high frequency energy to the whole body. So I consider that to be a very lovely violet ray chakra stimulant, or dharmic accelerant, I guess you could say. Clear quartz into scolecite. Scolecite is a very fantastic white ray stone of divinity to be a fantastic 6th, 7th, 8th non-physical chakra stimulant, just like chaurite. Yet it brings a very calming, soothing rendition to the conscious self-mind to keep one in divine alignment. So that's what I consider to be a quintessential stone of divinity I employ quite frequently. Then clear quartz, then into rose quartz, the quintessential, common, thank goodness, pink ray heart chakra stimulant of divine love. So that is the idea of being a very neutral, full light body stimulant right here, of stimulating obviously the entire typical electromagnetic spectrum of the color range in a circuit perpetually as the base of the entirety of the energy. So you can think of also all these other stones yet to be mentioned. This would be the main recirculated containment of the other high frequency crystals yet to be mentioned in the perpetual circuit of a full spectrum engagement, which would thereby be inferred to produce equilibrium. Hence the archetypal name. The very wooden core of this device is actually a juniper tree from Sedona, Arizona, from my favorite vortice between Bell Rock and Courthouse Mesa. So that has been shaped to be the core of the device, so it has a wood band range of the Sedona frequency, which is a very powerful place in creation as well. Nice fact, that's the foundation of the device. To bring that very powerful Sedona-esque energy into a containment that could be, of course, grounded and perpetually charged into a space wherever the recipient finds themselves at. So, I guess I'll go ahead and start from bottom up and then work my way around, because there's quite a bit, of course, to discuss right here through this whole construct, this composition. If my camera behaves itself, stop blurring out from my hand gestures. At the very bottom right here, it's a lovely, very beautiful stone named Libyan gold tektite, which was a golden ray equivalent to multivite utilized by the pharaoh caste of old to be a very powerful sacrum and solar plexus stimulant, thereby being fired, but also a very powerful golden ray of illumination full light body activator that was utilized by the pharaohs of old. So it has a very powerful sovereign manifestation capacity that is quite lovely, and also is one of my absolute favorite crystalline structures, and it also makes for a very powerful, empowering dharmic stimulant of one's highest truth manifest in the conscious self, which is very advantageous. Then right here, next to that, would be prophecy stone. Prophecy stone is found in the exact same locale as Libyan gold tektite, so science hasn't quite proved it, but they of course suspect that this would be the mother stone of what vaporizes sand to make this Libyan desert sandglass. But for whatever reason, I haven't figured it out yet, apparently. And the reason it's named prophecy stone was the rockhound who discovered this had a massive unexpected prophetic vision that really, of course, apparently knocked his socks off and became a legend that we know, and we, of course, subscribe that being the trade name of this particular pseudo-hematoid right here of great mysterious origin, prophecy stone. So prophecy stone actually, of course, is an iron-based mineral, yet actually, apparently, it has metals in it that are not classified on our periodic table, which means it literally has space metal, which is very neat. And so that actually brings a very powerful high-frequency induction that, of course, is very conducive to prophetic visions, hence the name. But luckily, it brings a very strong grounding contact patch to bring the emanations through the entire structure of the auric field into the tangible range. It's quite the special component to have in any given construct. And so, maybe pretty evident by the time I say this, about 13.5 minutes into this video, but all these other frequencies are grounded to the primary wire to generate vibrational compound interest, or basically a joint emanation. You can kind of think of these crystalline structures being like organs of this crystalline entity before me that all resonate together for a joint vibrational output of one composition. I hope that, of course, that makes sense. And that my crucinase is come across semi-coherent for most. Anyhow. So down here, next to the prophecy stone, is a very special, intrinsically important component called smoky celestial quartz. So smoky quartz, just like mentioned on the transmutation bands, a very fantastic grounder of energy into the earth. Yet the celestial format plays a very special role that gets quite meta to keep it consolidated and linear and coherent, because its vast interaction with the auric field is quite intensive to describe in a linear fashion, to put it lightly, so I'll do my best to, of course, keep my digression down the subject. But the celestial format, how the crystal grows, works as a perfect auto-regulation frequency of the emanation, which basically means that This works like a dimmer switch or an auto regulator to make sure the entire frequency pitch of any given device is in perfect comfortability and most importantly adaptability with the resonant field of the auric field in the proximity of this device, which kind of means that it meets one halfway to be the most comfortable resonant frequency to align to, and then of course works from there to achieve equilibrium. So that's another aspect, of course, that plays a critical role in maintaining the archetypal concept of equilibrium would be the smoky celestial quartz. And this next shot I'll describe in one shot because they all play off each other for a very critical role, would be the aspect of red jasper, fire agate, moss green agate, blue lace agate, and grape agate. So agates and jaspers are the most stable vibrations in their different color as well as elemental spheres in the mineral kingdom. So the conjunction of all these 5 crystals play a very critical role. Starting off with red jasper would be the quintessential earth energy root chakra stabilizer to bring great stability to the root chakra. Then fire agate to bring great stability of the fire elemental stimulation of the root, sacrum, and solar plexus. Then transitioning to moss green agate to bring great stability to the heart chakra. Then going into blue lace agate to bring stability to the 5th chakra of water elemental composition as well. Then grape agate, a purple ray agate, to bring stabilization to the 6th and 7th chakras of wind elemental spectrum. So when you have those combination, it brings the continuity of the terrestrial 4 elemental directions of the Lakota medicine wheel, if you would, of earth, fire, water, and wind in that concept. But most importantly, in the most stabilized varieties I can get my hands on for, you guessed it, the base bone of divine equilibrium. Hence the name has a purpose. So of course, those play a very important role for diffusing the currents of earth, fire, water, and wind in the most even capacity possible to ensure the comfortability and stabilization of this entire vibratory output developed to be grounded into a house, for a theoretical, tangible, utilized containment field of energy. Now back to this guy right here. Perhaps one of the most important components here will be the employment of this golden healer quartz heart-shaped crystal. So golden healer quartz is quite the bread and butter of my life's work, I guess you could say, because this is an impeccable gold white light, Christ frequency, source alignment, crystalline resonance. So obviously in a metaphysical endeavor of vibrational engineering, that goes a very long way. Having a very direct, clean shot to the gold white light source creation to say is pretty, astounding statement. But that is the idea of what makes this such an excellent centerpiece of this entire device, to bring the source frequency to be in conjunction with the entirety of the vibratory output seen before us in a perpetually clear and charged circuit going into a house ground. Pretty ambitious, pretty neat. Then right here is a lovely, clear Lemurian quartz to work as, I guess technically would be the main programmable heart of the device to carry the current very impeccably despite the clear quartz being employed for the blade band as well as the candle ground to, of course, be a neutral amplifier of other frequencies as well as a very prominent flash drive program intention holder, if you would. Then next to that is actually this section is pretty good in one shot describing the aragonite, the Tibetan black quartz, as well as seraphinite as the trinity of master healers I employ together for maximum effectivity quite frequently. I'll start with the star aragonite right here, which is a great calcium-based, full light body stimulant from the top to bottom. Any pattern of basically dis-ease or vibratory misfire dysfunction is rapidly cleared and amended by this particular crystal by itself, which makes it a full light body stimulant in its own right. Then combined with seraphinite to be a stone named after the seraphim archangels to bring a very powerful full light body stimulation as well as bringing an imbuement of the seraphic realm of these seraphim archangels into the auric field, which also works a very powerful, effective way to dismantle any patterns of dis-ease that would not be of one's highest good very quickly, but yet very gently. Both these two are very exceptional for that capacity of being very gentle in their energetic dysfunction pattern disillusionment. So them together is already quite the triumphant duo. But then the triumphant trifecta comes in with Tibetan black quartz. Tibetan black quartz is a crystal from Tibet, a region of the world with virtually unrivaled spiritual discipline of great notoriety and unbroken lineage of extreme spiritual Om resonance. Of virtually no one else in the world has that kind of disciplined spiritual application and discipline than Tibet just about. So anyhow, as I'm ranting, digressing, I have a job to do. I gotta talk about this video. Tibetan black quartz has a very fantastic full light stimulation, just like the aragonite and the seraphonite in conjunction, and works to be a very powerful rapid grounder of high frequency energy, most importantly, then also a great expansion of the higher chakras as well. So the two together carry a very powerful full light body activation in that capacity stimulation, as well as being a very powerful Om source resonant frequency alignment as well. So naturally, that is a very, very powerful healing frequency to have imbued in the auric field. So when you take the three, once again, of aragonite, seraphonite, and Tibetan black quartz, they all work in tandem to be a full light stimulation all by themselves, not to mention all the other exotic crystals in this whole composition for maximum vibrational compound interest of activity, and bring a full healing continuity of the auric field from top to bottom to dismantle patterns of disease in all capacities, thereby being a very successful, effective light body stimulation platform. So that's those three. Now I'll go ahead and discuss the little piece of moldavite right here. So moldavite is quite famous in this day and age based on social media platforms such as TikTok for notarizing it for being a very magical, powerful, tangible crystal. To my chagrin, because now it's become quite, sought after and exclusive, that kind of thing. Anyhow, so moldavite is quite the legendary green ray crystal due to the capacity of being the most impeccable green ray heart chakra dharmic accelerant mineral kingdom, virtually unsurpassed in its potency to align one's heart to the emanations of creation. So the reason it has kind of an infamous reputation these days for this guy is that its rapid transformation internally, externally to one's highest dharmic configuration is very destructive to the false self matrix that impedes one's connection to their God-given nature in connection to highest creation, which can be very destructive to one's internal scope of the world, as well as external reaction of the internal shift to manifest one's life into dharmic connection. Much like making an omelet, you have to crack a few eggs. It definitely cracks a lot of false self matrix eggs. And so the big idea too of that little employment of that direct alignment of that very, very swift dharmic accelerant is to have as many stabilizers and transmitters as possible to get the most out of that, while mitigating the timeline whiplash, growing pains associated with rapid transformation that can be kind of really intense. So that's, of course, the idea of employing that guy in a small dose with this comprehensive buffered circuit is to, of course, make the transition to one's dharma manifest as seamless and comfortable as possible to expedite the process, if you would, with efficiency. So then above that would be black tektite. Black tektite's a very fantastic result of Nikolai meteorite impacting sand, carrying the extraterrestrial jolt of energy into creation. So, since it's a black ray stone of cosmic impact origin, luckily it has a very nice vibratory stimulation from the root Earth stars up, black ray, being a very powerful full light body stimulant in its own right as well, to bring a very high vibratory threshold from, luckily once again, the ground up to raise the vibration of the entire auric field in a ground-up manner. So, of course, that makes it a staple in virtually all light tech as well, no matter what disposition or vibratory output, because it's just a very effective ground-up frequency increaser in a very tangible fashion. Then, over here to the left is another dose of rose quartz, because obviously divine love is a very important commodity, might be the most important commodity in creation as far as I'm concerned. So a heavier dose right here at the apex of this device plays a critical role of bringing that divine love frequency in this well-rounded, comprehensive device. Then right here, to the right of that, is oceanic calcite. So this is white calcite that I harvested myself from the beaches of Oregon. And so the aspect of calcite being a white calcite, tremendously underrated, very common, is a very lovely fire elemental, full clear of stagnant energy from the energy body. But the aspect that makes this calcite quite remarkable, literally, is the aspect that this is oceanic tumbled calcite, which means the ocean has shaped this for God knows how long, hundreds, thousands of years, into the tumbled stone seen before us. So the aspect of the oceanic imprintation to basically shape this stone by the influence of the ocean makes an indelible frequency alignment to the oceanic clearing capacity of Mother Ocean, quite simply, in the crystalline structure. Okay, so I oftentimes save the selenites for last as well as the kyanites to be a very comprehensive capstone. So amidst this whole 25.5-minute crystalline dissertation, the selenite plays a critical role at the very end to give a very highlighted perspective. So selenite by itself is a very fantastic 6th, 7th, 8th non-physical chakra stimulant all the way back to one's godhead, thereby making a very effective higher self two-way communication bridge, if you would, that burns off any electromagnetic debris between one's conscious self and one's highest self. And with that high frequency induction, also makes for a very fantastic burning off of stagnant energies from top to bottom. That would be, of course, compromising the auric field, thereby making that by itself quite the master healer. But the aspect that I always love discussing last but not least is the aspect of taking this entire closed-loop reactive circuit of this entire dissertation thus far in one emanation and making a very powerful purification of all these crystals. I'll do the triangle over here in perpetual resonance. Then an amplification or intensification of all these crystals, and most importantly, equilibrium and harmonization of this entire frequency pitch, with the aspect of the higher chakras being the highlighted focus to make it truly a dynamic, effective spirit tool in tangibility. So that's the aspect that really brings true excellence is, of course, I'll say it again because it's rather critical, is the aspect of the purification of all these crystals based on the selenite in one reactive circuit, the amplification or intensification, then the harmonization and equilibrium of this entire frequency pitch. It's my favorite part to discuss just about these description videos. Okay, so that's the selenite base. Now it's time to discuss the kyanites as absolute last of the crystal composition. Black kyanite, actually before I do that, kyanites in general are the most rapid transfers of energy in the mineral kingdom, hence they're employed in literally all light tech for this purpose to indeed make the magic real, make the energy transfers very tangible, quick, and potent. So black kyanite, and based on that aspect too, kyanites transfer energy so quickly that they literally cannot maintain stagnant energies to slow down their vibratory output connections. So that also works as another layer of etheric Teflon to ensure that the energy is routed so quickly that stagnancies have a very difficult time slowing down the vibration of the device, not to mention with its own independent purification charge point of the salt candle seen right here. Anyway, that's enough digression. Black kyanite is a very fantastic rapid grounder of energy through the root chakra into the earth stars, into the earth meridian for processing. So the aspect of black kyanite too works as a very fantastic surge protector to ensure the contact patch of this high frequency output is rapidly grounding at a very dynamic reactive rate. Then right here would be orange kyanite. Orange kyanite is a very powerful sacrum stimulant to the highest capacity one's dharmic alignment, as well as green kyanite being a very effective heart chakra bridger to one's dharmic alignment. Then blue kyanite, seen right there, being a very effective third eye, mental body, left and right hemisphere alignment to one's highest capacity as well. So the four together work as the most dynamic, rapid transfer energy possible to one's dharmic configuration to confer divine equilibrium in the spaces, places, and beings this, of course, is designed to go to. So that aspect right there, too, discusses the entirety of the crystal composition. So now it's time for a comprehensive capstone before I sign off. So the big idea, once again, is to ground and purify this, bring in tangibility this entire energy range of this rather complex, comprehensive, divine equilibrium-inducing device by intentional design, to bring this very high-frequency overture to purify, ground it, then to take that constant charge flux of this device to capture the negative ion generation of this production of heated up Himalayan salt to charge and purify this emanation to max capacity, then to take that max capacity and ground it into the mainframe of a house is the entire foundational concept of this device. And as a summary, that of course would be developed to run this current of excessive, complex, balanced design through the entirety of the outlets conjoined right here to run this purification emanation through the entire space, thereby making a tangible energetic containment field, leveraging the electrical engineering we all live in if we live in a house. So I think that's enough of a comprehensive dissertation for one construct for now. Well, 1,000 blessings, and may the force be with us all, and I pray that everybody has a great day.